choices in our life as we live our choices. And so this is it. One, you believe in a theism, personal God. One God created everything. Or two, you believe in a pantheism, the whole universe, everything's God, everybody's God, all things have God in it. Or three, atheism, there is no God. What worldview do you walk in when you live your life?
Theism, yeah.
Theism,
Yep.
Monotheism, a personal God? How about you?
Kind of a hybrid of pantheism and monotheism.
Oh, really? A hybrid, huh? You take a little of everything, huh?
Yeah, I'm a little non-dualistic over
So
here.
you must like buffets, right?
I do.
Take
I
whatever
really
you
do.
want out of
I'm
the
the
buffet.
eclectic.
Yeah.
I got eclectic type. I
Yeah,
will say that.
Nice.
But
Right.
like nothing ever
Shook you? Never?
nothing ever like made me think what I believed was wrong. It just
Right.
like if anything I was like, okay, I'll get back to you next class or whatever because I
Right.
don't have an answer for that.
So how about your friend here? He went from monotheism to pantheism, a mix.
Well,
What happened to you? What made you decide to think that there's more than just one personal God?
Right. Well, I think this is where it gets a bit complicated. I'm more of like the mystical, spiritual type.
Okay.
And so, but I understand that those experiences are kind of unique to my body, brain chemistry, and whatnot.
Right.
So, but they mean a lot, and they
Right.
actually inform a lot of what I do. So, but I can't necessarily expect anybody to hop on that train.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, so yeah, I would have those conversations with teachers, but it was interesting because we'd be able to talk about our experience and our stories.
Right.
But then, as far as where we ended up, that's up to each of us.
You should go
So
with what they decide as they look
yeah.
at it. So let me ask you this though. I know I had to sit there and just put some scientific fact into what I believe, that wasn't just emotional or feelings that I was thinking, but there was actually some fact to it. So first of all, with you having a pantheism God, when we start off with just creating the world is usually the first premise everyone starts with. So you have time, space, and matter that came into existence at one point, right? So I had to start breaking it down and say, okay, so between each one of these type of gods that I'm looking at, no God, all is God, and a personal God, how did you fit, who do you think created the world? Was it part of pantheism with a personal God, or how'd that work?
right, that's where it gets a bit complicated because I'm human, so I want to make it human.
Right.
And so
Anthroponize it.
yeah, so but I think it's both and. I really don't have a clear answer for it,
Right.
but when I think about it, I feel both and.
Right.
So the way I relate to it is personal, but when I pull back, it almost seems impersonal, but
Right.
somehow I'm caught in it just as much.
So the problem I see with that though, is that as I looked at it, is that once you have what the difference is this, is that as you have time, space, and matter, something had to cause and effect, right? So you can't have something inside the universe go outside of time and say, I'm going to create time, right? Because it couldn't do that. So you need something outside of time. So I couldn't see any pantheism. If there is a pantheism type of God out there, I couldn't see it going outside of the universe where there is no time and saying, I'm going to create the universe, right? And then with the no God, atheism, we've never seen nothing come from something come from nothing. So out of nowhere, there's no time, space, or matter, and all of a sudden, poof, there's something. There's matter. There's atoms, and it just came from nothing. We've never seen that accomplished before. But the monotheism God, I looked at that and I thought, I didn't think about it. He says who he is. He says he's eternal, all powerful, and he's outside of time. There was my answer. Someone that was outside of time actually created time, and he said he's personal, and as I look at people and everything around us, I see it very personal. And that was my only conclusion that I could follow up with, is that to create this universe, I needed an all-powerful, all-knowing, personal God who is outside of time, who is everlasting. And the problem with having pantheism is that there's I don't know if you've heard the term infinite regress. Everything can't be infinite. You can't be infinite. I can't. Everyone's infinite. No, there's only one infinite thing. Who created B, C? Who created C, D? You can't have that. All of a sudden, there's just one everlasting thing that had to develop to create everything, right? And so that's where I get to a personal God. And how about you? Did you ever try to break it down as far as scientifically?
Honestly, for me, I mean, I was raised like, God created the world. The earth is like no more than 10,000 years old or whatever. And the older I got, the more I really don't. I just focus on the gospel. Like arguing about creation versus evolution when it comes down to it is like not necessarily, unless you're trying to prove like God to somebody who doesn't believe in God at all.
Right.
To me, like arguing about that within the church
Right.
is like kind of
Now, what was your
not
first name?
important. Josh.
Josh. Now,
Yeah.
Josh, if you believe in a personal God, we all learn our gods from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We read, learn about it by traditions, by maybe books or something, wherever we grew up with. This personal God that you talk about says he's gonna, because you were made by him, and you have worth and value, that he's gonna judge you on that. You know, if you were to go steal something right now, even this justice system of this life says you have value.
Right.
Because of that, if you go steal, we're gonna take you to court, and you're gonna have to pay a price for the crime you committed.
Right.
Also, the personal God, the theism God, he says, I made you, and if I made you, and I'm going to come back and judge you for how you lived your life, and I'll judge you on every thought that you have. Let me ask you this: do you consider yourself a good person? In 3 seconds, what would be your answer?
Yes.
Yes. How about you? Do you consider yourself a good person?
I'm told I am.
You're told you are. Okay. So here we go. Have you ever lied? And if you lied, have you lied 100 times, 1,000 times?
Yeah, countless times.
Countless
sure.
times. Have you ever lied?
Yes.
What do you call someone that tells lies in the Webster Dictionary? What do they call it?
A liar.
A liar. Have you ever taken anything that doesn't belong to you? Small or big?
To be honest, I don't know.
You don't know?
I can't.
When you're
Maybe
little,
when I was little, I don't know.
A cookie out of the cookie. See, I had the
Sure.
problem when my mom said, "Don't get any more cookies out of the cookie jar."
Yeah.
She goes around the corner, and I had a big family. I would go take the cookie out of the cookie jar. You know, so have you ever taken anything that doesn't belong to you?
Yeah.
So if this God was going to judge you one day on these commandments, right, just like a society would, I would be guilty before him.
Right.
If he was going to judge you on those 10 commandments, and that's it, there was no cross to it, would you go to heaven or hell if he was just going to judge you on the 10 commandments, and that's it?
I mean, if we were going Old Testament, well, then I'm not a Jew, so technically I would have no choice, or no chance anyway.
Well, even with the, even with the Jew, he'd be judged on the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Everyone would be.
Right.
Because that's all you had. There was no cross at that time, right?
Yeah.
He was working for that cross. You probably, and you're thinking you wouldn't be, what's going to happen to you after you die?
Hopefully I'm caught up in some blissful, loving embrace in something.
Do you, and do you ever think about anyone who's ever did that, came back and told about a blissful thing they had after they died?
I haven't personally talked to anybody.
Yeah.
I've heard stories, but yeah.
What's awesome about this personal God, Jesus, is that out of Buddhists, out of reincarnation, he's the only one that's ever said, I came back, I was seen by 500 men for 40 days and 40 nights, and I lived to tell the story that I died and rose again. Whereas when I asked someone about maybe Buddha, and I said, hey, has anyone ever hit nirvana, ever hit that place where they're one atom with the sky, and they came back and told you, they always tell me, no, dude, we don't know of anyone. It's just we read it, and that's what he said it was going to happen. And I said, oh, well, I don't know if I like that kind of facts that someone just said it, and so it is, right? Same thing with reincarnation. I'm like, hey, in reincarnation, did they ever come back? Who's come back more than a human being if that's our utopia? And they've never said, if anything, they say we digress, you know, we become worse and worse. So I just put all those things together, but appreciate to hear you guys talk and think about those things, because if there is a personal God, then you will be judged. And he says this is what he tells us in the Bible. He says all the other religions of the world say you have to work to gain something. Christianity says you're sinful already, you've sinned, there's nothing you can do. I'll come back, take off my judge robe, pay the price for you, and all you have to do is believe in me and say, I realize I've lied and stole. I don't want to do that no more. I want to trust in you. And he says he gives you the free gift of eternal life. And so you don't have to work to gain it. You just trust in him.